The biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here, which means more updated odds, props for Super Sunday. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. Hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, exclusive in-game live betting. Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion, whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor. Bet Online offers you everything and more to enhance your game experience. Visit the website today. Make the game, the day action, make it all count just a little bit more. Bet Online. The game starts here. Welcome to another edition of Bleav in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. And Carl, obviously the Senior Bowl is going on. Super Bowl, there'll be a lot of hoopla. You going to be at Super Bowl in New Orleans?
I will. I am going to be down there for a couple of days prior to the game and at the game.
Big starter stuff going on?
Yeah, we do a really nice Super Bowl collection. That's really cool. And Michael Strahan is my partner in our collaboration with Starter MSX. So we have a collection dropping with Michael and I in his MSX line, and we have a collaboration with Crown Royal, the official beverage of the NFL and the Super Bowl. And so we have like this starter house powered by Crown Royal. Drink responsibly, people. That's going to have a lot of entertainment in it. So we're doing a whole bunch while we're down
Look at you. And you got the whole, I know you got the whole St. John's vibe working right now too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get into that, but this is a segue. I'm so hardcore St. John's right now, and yes, folks, I am a Michigan State graduate. I am a Michigan State fan. I love Magic Johnson. I'm in New York. St.
You
John's.
even said New York like a New Yorker right there.
Yeah. I have nothing but love for Michigan State, and I root for them. And if I had to choose if they played each other, I'm probably going to root for Michigan State. But I adopted St. John's when I first got here in the early 80s.
Well, how about 84? You were drafted. That's like the picture behind you. That's the heyday.
Yes. So that explains it. And if folks, and I'm shameless plugging everybody right now that's St. John's related, if you want to hear my entire story, there's a podcast, Dave E., and it is Eye of the Storm. And so that podcast, I tell the whole story there. So yes, St. John's is on fire right now. And I just need everybody in New York to just support. And that's why I am wearing this shirt. It is not a starter shirt. This shirt is made by a local company, New York, called Mezzanine. And if you want to get their stuff, it's Mezzanine NYC. I think I want St. John's product in everybody's closet. I have a vintage starter hat on, but it's really cool. But I'm going to segue from St. John's in the mindset that they have right now.
Hold on. So Michigan State, you're alum.
I'm in the Hall of Fame at Michigan State, and I rock hard. I rock steady with Michigan State. Make no mistake.
So you're Michigan State, and for hoops in New York, you're all about St. John's.
Yeah.
Unlike some people, we know that it's Michigan one day, it's the U the other day, it's St. John's another day. Sperling.
That's right. Don Sperling is all over the map with his college loyalties.
All right, so I know there's a lot of things that you kind of want to get off your chest here.
Yeah, I mean, I've entered into a few senseless, I don't even call them debates, just dialogue with people that don't quite have an understanding of what a winning mindset is. And I don't, it's not their fault. They don't know because they haven't been in it. They only know what they see. So respect to all of you who have been respectful in your dialogue. Some of you have been just butts, but that's a whole nother thing. But if you want to hear what it's like to have a winning culture and what it's like to value winning. Brandon Tierney had go to YouTube. Brandon Tierney interviewed Rick Pitino, and Rick Pitino talked about how he got St. John's going. He talks about New York Jets, and he talks about New York Giant culture and what it takes for them to get on track. And it's very insightful, and it's no different than what I've been saying. He phrases it a little differently, but you got to value wins wherever they come. That's how you turn things around. And when you listen to a guy who's won and turned programs around everywhere he's been, that's Rick Pitino, he subscribes to the same principles, folks. Yes, you have other interests. That's why you're upset. Obviously, I'm more upset than you guys think I am because I helped build the standard for what Giants football is and what it should be. Right. And so it bothers me. I'm just not reckless in how I express that. I'm a little more mature in that, but trust me, it bothers the heck out of me. I can't make it personal because it's number one, I've been where those kids are, right? So I ain't never calling them out of their names. You as fans can do that. I, as a fan and as someone who's been on the inside, I can objectively criticize, right? And I can tell you or anyone that an offense doesn't value possessions. I can tell you how the defensive schematics are out of whack and they can't stop things. You can go further than that. I'm a professional. Yes, I do work for the team. The team gives me or don't give me any direction, doesn't give either one of us any direction on what we can say or cannot say. I'm a loyal New York Giants fan. I want success for the team. I'm not reckless in how I speak. People I know in the building, you guys have a different perception of some of those folks. I have a different experience. So I'm not going to join your outrage at certain things. But trust me, myself and Bob included, because he's grown up in this as the voice of the Giants, we feel this. And it bothers us. It bothers us. But in saying that, I get challenged on so many different things or positions that I have. And, I Bleav that all wins count when you're trying to turn a team around.
What was the Belichick line? Because doing my serious show with Logan Ryan, obviously played for Belichick, and you heard it a million times too. You can't become a winning team until you learn how to not lose.
Correct.
You have to learn how to not lose before you can become a consistent winner.
That's right. And those wins can come anywhere. In a lost season, it's important. When you guys are upset with me because I have a championship constitution, that doesn't, you're mad at the wrong person. You should want these players to have that. You should want these coaches to have that. If you're mad because they're not losing for you, then your priorities are not quite where the players' priorities are. Clearly, you're projecting some guy who's never put on a uniform. These guys have uniforms on. They have jobs to do. They've got to learn how to win. They've got to learn how to be champions. They've got to learn how to value possessions on offense. They've got to learn that every win's important. They got to learn to stack wins, right? That's where they are right now. You have a coaching staff that's got to get it figured out. You've got a front office that's got to get it figured out. Can't miss these drafts. This is a draft you can't miss on. You've got to put pieces in place. People, I think it was Authentic is his name, posted, this poster of Giants talent and pending free agency and all of that, the roster. And, it was so many comments on how bad the roster is. There's no hope. And I looked at it and, I know the roster and I said, they're, not flush with talent. they're not flush with depth, but the cupboard isn't bare. You'd be surprised what difference one or two players makes for a team that you may think is not very good. But just understand, if you're in the NFL, you have talent. You're good enough to be in the NFL. So
Well,
go ahead.
look at what Bobby Okereke brought to the table in
Mhm.
2023. Just by inserting him, he
Mhm.
made a lot of people around him better, including helping develop Micah McFadden, who's become a
Yep.
very good ball player. So you're
Right.
right, Carl. Sprinkle in some talent
Mhm.
and draft well, and things can get fixed.
Yeah. But it's we live in an era where people feel that you can interchange things right away and it makes a difference. Yes, you need talent to win in the NFL, but there are also talented teams that are currently not winning in the NFL. So it's a combination. But you just can't wipe out an entire roster. There are good players on the Giants team. There are not enough good ones, right? I'm gonna acknowledge that they don't have enough good players. But you sprinkle in the right players and you'll see how good some of the players are on the roster, and they need depth. But what they need is a good draft. They need to insert good personnel that they can develop, and they've got to hit on a few free agents as well. But I think there are some things on the roster that they can build upon. You brought up Bobby Okereke, and he played extremely well up until this season. And it seems like not all, but certain sector of our fan base went in front of the light from Men in Black and they blanked out. They don't remember the Bobby Okereke who came in as a Giant and had an incredible year that should have been a Pro Bowl year. They only focus on this last season and they say he's an awful pick. He's never been good. I'm like, oh, he's been good. And he's a really good football player. He didn't play well this year. I blame schematics on it. I don't think they put him in the best position to have success. And here's the other thing. He never really got hurt. He's a dependable
No.
guy. So I know you guys want to live in the now, right? But you can't rip up everything. You can't restart the game, right? If it's not working, you hit reset. Well, the reset has to go with human parts actually um, uh, in the process. It's not you unplug it, plug it back in, reset your roster, and voila. It just doesn't work that way. There's a process to this, and um, the Giants have fallen short on that process, and they've got to fix it. And again, there is some talent. They're not flush with it, but there's some talent there. I think last year's draft was really good for them. I think some of the free agents that they brought in on the offensive line have been good. Somebody said that John Runyon was a bust. I read that too. I'm like,
Well,
man.
people live off these pro football reference grades. He
Hmm.
didn't get a great grade from them, but you got to take that with a grain of salt. There's a lot of players that don't get good grades that if you went internally to the team, the grades would be completely different. They do a good job there at Pro Football Focus, but they got a lot of young guys. Joe Schoen even admitted he used to get what, $50 a game to break down games for Pro Football Focus.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta take it with a grain of salt because unless you know the calls and unless you know everything else, you're making grades best on guesstimations: catchable ball, uncatchable ball, interception
yeah,
worthy ball, and all these other metrics.
yeah. And,
So,
and some of these metrics are created just so that you, the fan, can have talking points. What's a turnover worthy ball, right? Oh, a ball that didn't get turned over, but it could have been. That's just like saying a touchdown worthy run, but he got tackled 5 yards down the line of scrimmage. So these are metrics that they throw out there that have you guys talking, but it's either a turnover or it's not a turnover worthy ball. It could be a bad pass, right? But it's either a turnover or it's not, right? But you want to add another metric to an incompletion. It's a talking point, and they do a fine job of what they do at Football Focus. I have no issues with them whatsoever. But I would say to you as fans, move that aside, spend some time watching the game, watching the player that you have you have interest in critiquing.
Well, the other thing, Carl, here, you're talking about grading a guard, right?
Mhm.
Do you know what the call was in the protection? An offensive lineman, one of those interior guys, you see these stunts and stuff, they can be made to look foolish.
Yeah,
If the quarterback's not seeing it the right way, he's not identifying the right guy as the mic, whoever's making the line call is calling for a slide protection one way or another that could be erroneous.
mhm.
And suddenly you have a guard flailing at somebody and it looks like, oh my God, he just blew by him. Well, no.
Yeah,
We don't know what the call was. Maybe it was supposed to be a slide and the tackle was supposed to, and he was supposed
right.
to help someone. Now, I'm not saying that he was great, and I'm sure there's more than enough on film to show him just getting whipped in one-on-one or getting walked back.
Mhm.
Listen, I'm not denying any of that, but there's so much more to it. And if you don't know what the calls were and who's identified as the mic and did they get fooled, and then what the call was up front, you're grasping at straw. Of all the positions
Yeah.
to be able, now I guess you could probably grade tackles a little bit easier.
Mhm.
But man, those interior guys, how the hell does anybody know except the offensive line coach that has the call sheet?
So I'll give you guys a little hint too. There are not five all-pro linemen on any football team. There are going to be guys with deficiencies. It's how you coordinate that group together. Offensive linemen have to be tethered, and you cover for some deficiencies. They're going to be the defense's job is to try to expose the deficiencies. Carmen Pasilla is his job is to coordinate these guys so they don't get exposed. Now, there are going to be some times like there's an eye test. You can look at Evan Neal. He's always on the ground. He doesn't do certain things well. Great. You can look at John Michael Schmitz and say, boy, he's got to get a lot stronger and he's got to be um, more play with more leverage. That's obvious, right? But the coordination, if somebody didn't pick up a stunt, and I'll give you a classic example is when Will Hernandez was with the Giants, there was not a stunt he could stop. I mean, he was a spinning top every time they ran a stunt at him. He goes to Arizona, doesn't seem to have that problem anymore, right? And I think everybody thought that Will Hernandez wasn't very good. He's still in the football. He's still in the NFL right now. And he's been super productive out in Arizona. So it comes down to football is not as cut and dry as some of you guys think. Like, you know when a receiver drops a ball, you know when a linebacker misses a tackle, you know when a tackle is one-on-one and he gets whipped, right? But when you start to look at some of the combination things or how they run the football, it comes down to how it's coordinated. Are your linemen tethered? Yeah, Runyon might have some deficiencies, but he's here because he fits with what they want. And it's the offensive line coaching staff's job to coordinate it because he has some strengths and they're going to play to his strengths. They're going to coach to his strengths, and that will help the team. They're going to protect against his weaknesses. They're not going to do things that expose him. And that's how this game works, folks. And even on the defensive side of the football as well. Defensive backs, linebackers, they're going to do things, they should do things to play to those players' strengths, especially if you have some good ones. Um, that's your job as coaches to make sure you put your players in the best uh, positions to have success, optimal success. So Um, it's not as simple as, this guy is trash. And, you can see with some naked eye tester, it's there, right? You can see that,
The center's getting run over a lot.
yeah,
Like
center's getting
that's
run
got to
over.
change.
Right. Or your right tackle, Evan Neal, is average run blocker, good sometimes, and not a good pass blocker. That's obvious, right? But some of the other pieces of it, you can't go to Pro Football Focus and wait to see what they say. Look at it and see how things are coordinated. But those are all the things that are going to be necessary for Coach Dable to get this thing turned around. Joe Schoen has got to make it happen. They're both on hot seats, and that's no mystery. So their work is cut out for them.
Yeah, they need some studs in this draft. I think they could stop with the cross training for swing tackles. Make sure you
Yeah.
have a swing tackle on the roster because you got to just assume Andrew Thomas is going to get hurt again, and it
Hmm.
can't be the Jenga game, where
Sure.
once Andrew Thomas comes out, now the quarterback thing, right? Because I can't believe these guys have been talking for 25 minutes and they haven't mentioned the quarterback. Oh shit, they need a quarterback. I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know who
Yeah.
it's going to. I don't know where their evaluation is going to take us with these guys in the draft. I'm not at the Senior Bowl. You're not at the Senior Bowl. Everybody's raving about Jackson Dart. Everybody's intrigued by Jalen Milrow. We obviously know about Ward. We know about Sanders. Who knows? Like, who
Yeah.
knows? Who they?
Um,
What are they going to do? I don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what they're going to do. Nobody
no,
knows.
but we know what they have to do. They've got to get that position solidified and stabilized. I don't spend a lot of time watching beyond just a spectator level these quarterbacks, right? So don't ask me who they should pick. I know that um, Sanders has pro coaching, which should help him at the next level, wherever he's drafted. I know that Cam Ward is, from what I can see, extremely talented. I know that Jackson Dart has pro coaching, and it should serve him well at the next level, wherever he's drafted. He could be a backup. I don't know. I know the kid from Alabama runs well. I haven't seen him in the games I watched be as polished as Sanders or Ward or Dart.
Dart.
That doesn't mean he can't be, because I don't know. I haven't evaluated them that way. I don't project the next level at quarterback, and it is, folks, the hardest position to evaluate. There are more misses there than there are hits. And they are misses for several reasons, right? It could be player, it could be talent, it could be environment, it could be system. So I'm going to wait to see how all of that stuff shakes out. I don't have a lead dog in whoever these guys are, because there's a school of thought that this class would be second rounders if they came out a year before. Right. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you're looking at Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston? Guys who are going to be NFL quarterbacks, but never really become the franchise guy? If that is the projection, I don't know. Again, then you might see more than one quarterback on the Giants roster. And I suspect you will anyway. I suspect that there will be a good veteran on the Giants roster, because Joe Schoen, you can't miss. You can't miss. And again, we've seen a lot of how this Saquon thing post Giants has played out, and that's not digestible. I know the owner is sick. Um, and look, Joe
Every
had a
Giant fan's sick.
yeah, and I know Joe made a case for why he was doing what he was doing, and I've been reading. Well, Saquon had several offers that he turned down. All of these things could be true. And yet at the end of the day, he's at your rival and he is just taking the NFL by storm. And that's, you can sit and, Joe Schoen, the rationale is what it is, right? And you could be totally justified. It would have looked a lot better if Saquon Barkley didn't have the year he had.
Well, it would have looked a lot better if Saquon Barkley took the Houston offer, and he
Yeah,
did it with the Texans,
sure.
because that was a serious offer. But he wanted it, being a Penn State kid and everything else.
Hmm.
I think he even took a little bit less money from Philadelphia instead of going to Houston,
Yeah.
and it's worked out. So, with that said, do you think he so I predicted that the Eagles were going to win the NFC Championship. At the beginning of the
Hmm.
playoffs, I said they're going to go to the Super Bowl because
Hmm.
just with this whole Giant thing from Hard Knocks moving forward,
Hmm.
he had to go to the Super Bowl because the pain that we're all feeling as Giants fans.
Hmm.
You knew it wasn't going to end there, that it was going to continue.
Right.
The question is, do you think it continues with him holding the Lombardi trophy, or do you think it ends with him making it to the Super Bowl?
Um, hmm, I don't know. I don't know. And I have feelings. I'm torn because the last thing I want for myself as a Giant fan or for any of these Giant fans is to see the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I have a personal relationship with Saquon, and I know that he's worthy, but so are all the other players on the field. Um, so let me just say, if it ends with him holding a Lombardi, good for him. I am not going to say he should. Um, he's worthy, like every other kid that plays this game. Um, I'll be honest, I don't want the Philadelphia Eagles to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not in love with Kansas City, but as it relates to Saquon, if he gets it, good for him. But that's as much as I can say because I love the kid to death and I'm happy for his success. But other than that, I'm a Giant. He's an Eagle. I always wish him well, but as far as the Eagles winning a Super Bowl, that's not on my bingo card.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He
Yeah.
did that video for my son Max on the field before the Eagles Giants game at the end of the season, which was really cool. Um, the way I look at it is this: like Terry Bradshaw, like Joe Montana, until I see Mahomes lose a Super Bowl,
Hmm.
how could you pick against him? Now,
Right.
in '07, Brady was 3-0 in Super Bowls, and we all know what happened.
Yep.
February the 3rd of 2008. We know what happened. The Giants went in there and beat them. So until they lose, how could you pick against them? I'm picking Kansas City to win.
Yeah.
And if you want a little Giant flavor to it, how could you not love Spags? How could you not
So
love Dave Merritt?
I'm glad you said that.
Dave Merritt, who's on the
Dave Merritt
staff
is
too.
a great dude, man. Love Dave and his wonderful wife. But here, Yolanda. But here's the thing I want to ask because there have not been, to my recollection, a defensive coordinator in the Hall of Fame. And I think there are three
Well, Dick LeBeau is in.
as a player.
Yeah, but he got in as a player slash
Yeah,
unbelievable
but let me
coach.
just tell you this. There are three on my Mount Rushmore, no, maybe four, Mount Rushmore of defensive coordinators. It's Dick LeBeau, it's Bill Belichick, it's Spags, and it's Ryan. You can take Rex, Rob, or Buddy, the Ryan name, because they revolutionized their defensive scheme was as disruptive as we've seen, and it was their own style. Um, I don't know if you just put the Ryan name and put three little
Yeah,
Headshots there.
probably. Little
But
headshot of Buddy with the two sons next to him, a little
yeah, two
smaller.
sons next to him, right? And those are my Mount Rushmore of defensive coordinators, and those are guys that I Bleav belong in the Hall of Fame. Now, there are going to be fans around the league that says, "Well, you forgot this one, you forgot that one." This is my opinion, folks.
Yeah,
So
it's a podcast. We're allowed to have our own
yeah,
opinions.
yeah. So I'm not debating you on who you like. I just told you who I like, and I think they should be in the Hall of Fame. Spags
He's
has
got
just been
4 rings, man.
yeah,
He
yeah,
might have 5
yeah,
after next Sunday.
yeah. Though I mean, they don't put them in, but I think they're worthy. I really do. And they should reconsider that. Some of the writers, um, but LeBeau, Belichick, Reed, Spags. Those are my Ryan. I'm gonna say Reed. Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah, well, listen, I can't disagree with you. So, like, from a Giant fan standpoint, if you can't root for the Eagles, which I never will understand why there were Giants fans that were rooting for the Eagles when they played the Patriots because people were sick of Tom Brady. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
you want to have something over Brady that nobody else has, beaten
Exactly.
twice in the Super Bowl. I never understood that. I had
Yeah.
enough of Brady, but
Well, betting interests come into play now too. That's the other
yeah.
part, right? The loyalty split between the bet you placed and the team you root for or the team you love.
Yeah, so from a Giant fan standpoint, you root for Spags, you root for Merritt, and Kansas City's a lot easier to root for now that Kadarius Toney's not there. So I just think that Spags will have that gotta have it play defense called up like he did at the end of the game against
How
Buffalo,
about that, man?
where he ran something that they had not run. He
Ran a corner
disguised it.
blitz and they hadn't seen it all game. And that's just the mark of just great defensive coordination. I just
And
love it.
and offensively, Andy Reid is the master of the I gotta have it play. When they
Yeah,
need a play,
yeah.
Andy Reid and they hold stuff back. They
Hmm.
hold stuff back that they might not have run since week 12.
Yeah,
But in a I gotta have it moment, they may run that play, but they may candy wrap it in something that looks nothing like what the end result of the play is going to be.
absolutely. And that's great coaching. We had that as champions with the Giants. Bill always had something that people had never seen before. I heard, was it you and Todd Haley talking the other day, or Todd was talking to someone where he said that Bill used to always, when he was coaching against Bill, it was always something that Bill would show that he hadn't shown games prior to that, 4 to 6 to 8 games prior to that, but it always showed up against Todd's teams. And Todd talked about the one time he was able to get Belichick is he ran a halfback pass in a 2-minute drill. And he said that was the most proud moment, one of the proudest moments he had as a coach to be able to outfox him when Bill was notorious for giving other teams, such a headache in terms of trying to figure out what's coming next.
You got me. You
Yeah.
got me. You got me. All right. Anything else here?
No, I think this is good, folks. I enjoy dialoguing with you. Keep it respectful. I have opinions. You have opinions. It's fun to talk. But if you come on and you're trolling, I'm trolling you back. And I don't care. Trust me, I will not be upset with you. Just don't be tender because if you want to come with the nonsense, I got time. It's the off season. I got time, and I'm telling you right now. So we can play around, we can joke with each other, but when you start to take these things to a whole nother level personally, okay, I'm okay with
It's
it.
on.
It's on.
And never, ever, ever underestimate professional athletes that spent their lives in locker rooms and knowing
Talking
how
shit.
to talking shit and
Yeah,
being able to ramp it up and needle and get under your skin.
yeah.
You
Mhm.
lose. All right. How do we like to end this thing?
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Believe in
Bleav in
Giants.
Giants.